It says we are alive, but
Hello.
we will find out momentarily
Yes.
if we're alive or not. Because I don't know, but it says it's still waiting.
I got 2 alerts. I got it on my computer and on my phone that you were alive.
Oh, there it was. I heard myself. We exist. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
There for a minute, I thought Kate wasn't going to say hi. She's just going to be like, yeah, whatever, I'm here.
I thought that I didn't mute you, so I thought it was actually coming through on the chat on the YouTube one. So I was like, oh no. So I was freaking out trying to pause it, but no, it was actually you. So we figured this out after doing how many times now? We totally know what we're doing.
Totally know what we're doing. Wow, that's an interesting look there. Anyway, how is everyone doing today?
Yes. How are you doing, Jessica?
I am wonderful. I am 20% into a book that I am leading a discussion for tomorrow afternoon.
Hey, what book?
Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which I have read before, so it's not like the end of the world, but like
I still haven't read it. I need to read it. I bought it. I own it. Have not read it.
You need to read it, or I'll beat you with it.
I know. Well, that's what I'm reading Mistborn right now. I just started, and it's such a nice change from the book that we picked.
We didn't pick this.
That's true. The people picked it. It was
this was the people's book. It's their fault.
Yeah. Let me just say, though, I was very excited for this book before we started it. Like, I was like, this is all the things I like. I'm so ready. And then I read it.
And then we read it. I will preface this by saying, Kate and I discussed this like 20 seconds ago. If you have not read the book that we're going to be discussing today, God, I can't speak English, Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, and you don't want to be spoiled for the book, we will be talking about spoilers. So if you want to come back later and watch the chat after it's not live anymore to catch all the other stuff that we talk about, I will put a link in the description box down below for a timestamp of when you can skip all the spoilers for later, if you wish to do so. Otherwise, we're going to spoil this book for you.
We're going to dive right in.
We're gonna do things. I have not read Mistborn, but I need to. But it's not a book that I physically own, so it's not a priority.
And I physically owned it, so it was kind of a priority.
I'm reading comments.
Emily says I'm ready to be spoiled.
Yes. So how many people in the chat have read this book? That's my first question.
That is a good first question.
Also, preface to say, I did leave a note, and there are polarizing views on this book. Some people really love it. Some people really hate it. So while we're discussing it, please be as kind as possible. If you are an asshole, I will remove you from the chat.
Yes.
FYI.
Yes. I did. I posted my vlog of me reading this book, and I was so excited because I did get some people in the comments saying how much they really loved the book and the whole series, and I was like, that's the perspective I wanted to hear. So it was nice. I see Sharon's on the 3rd book.
That's good. Someone can give us an outside perspective because we don't have that.
Yes.
Becca, you haven't read it, so I think you're going to be fine. Let's see. Keith's read it. 3, 4, 5, 6. So, I mean, it's good. There's somebody else who's read the whole trilogy. I know I'm pointing at it. Like, you can see me where I'm pointing. There's someone else that's read the whole trilogy. Grape says she tried. She really did.
Yes.
That is exactly my thoughts about the book. I'm still 200 pages from finishing the 2nd book, and it's taking 20 years. That's how I feel about it.
I didn't realize you'd started the 2nd one.
No, not me.
Oh.
Comment.
Oh.
Comment.
Oh, okay.
I don't own the second one. I own the third one for a very short amount of time. Further.
Yes.
It will be exiting.
Yes.
There will be an exodus.
It will be given a new home.
Right. Okay, so Hudson McCarthy says, I read it last year and hated it. Love the world, though. One of the most creative worlds I've seen. Made me so upset because I wanted to keep going, but I couldn't handle the romance writing style. I said earlier in Kate's video, because Kate actually posted a reading vlog today, so if you haven't checked that out, please do. And my comment was that it was like she tried to do like an adventure story and a slice of life book and couldn't decide which one she wanted to do. And she was like, I'll write both. And she just smashed them together.
Yeah. I feel like in that one statement, you summed up how I felt about the whole thing so much more eloquently than me spastically trying to explain what was infuriating to me throughout the vlog. Because it was those middle 300 pages were a slice of life. Like, we got how often she ate, what particular food she was eating, like all this stuff, and like all of the little romantic moments, which I think could have been great if like more stuff went along with them at the same time. So it's like we had adventure and then romance, kind of. It was weird sectioning.
Like, I will preface this by saying that I did give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. So I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. And I think it is very much like I enjoyed the history, the science-y aspect, the world building. The writing really wasn't, I mean, it's hard to say the writing wasn't horrible because it was such a slog, but the writing wasn't horrible. It was the way the writing was used was not great. And the romance was, it was adult Twilight for sure.
Yeah.
I love me in my reading journal because I am like the most sarcastic bitch ever. And it's like, it says, what kind of grown-up Twilight bullshit is this? That was my note. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, I mean, that was kind of how I felt about it. Like, if the book had been the societal issues, the history, the science, all of that with a romance subplot, it would have been so much better than a romance with a science history subplot.
Yeah. Also, I cut it from the vlog, but I remembered halfway through reading it, I went back to the back cover of the book again and reread it because I was like, this is way more romance than the actual adventure, I thought. And if you look at the back cover, at least of the copy I got, I had to turn it into the library because I was so mad at it. It only says like steamy once and barely mentioned the romance, I thought, in comparison with what you actually get in the book. So I felt duped. And I didn't read reviews before reading the book, so that could have been on me. But I tend to like to stay away from them. So
I think we should have caught on. Mine actually, it does say equal parts history and magic, romance and suspense. So it is actually that.
parts.
But the next part says it's a mesmerizing and addictive tale of passion and obsession. That obsession is a key word there that we should have caught on to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
know,
so
the slice of life to me was almost like when you're trying to build a romance, like trying to build a slow burn romance, so you show them together and like show them falling for one another. But she did it way after they had already been like insta love.
That was so confusing.
To justify their insta love. I'm like, can they not just be in love and kiss and marry? Like, hey, by the way, I kissed you in front of my mom. We're married now. Hope you're okay with that.
I love how that was explained later, and she just goes with it. She's like, yeah, I guess that's what a marriage is between a vampire and a witch. Like,
and
who knew?
She's like totally fine finding out that like he had been drugging her with his blood. She's like, that's cool. He killed people that she knew. Totally fine. And I think that the author was trying to justify him being a total douchebag by making all of this happen off the page.
Yeah, and by making her not care. Like, none of her reactions made sense. The stuff she got extra mad at, I was like, you didn't even freak out about the blood thing and him drugging her. Like, there was no freaking out then. And it was such a confusing thing that I almost thought they were like a good match if she clearly didn't care about any of this.
Vicky says, I honestly felt like the ending was so anticlimactic. I thought we would get some standoff or a battle or something. Nothing happens. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
It was 600 pages of nothing.
It was, yes, and it's like everything built, and like we kept getting foreshadowing. I remember one point where it's like someone's gonna die because of y'all's actions, and someone's gonna do this, and all of this is gonna happen, and it was clearly like foreshadowing the trilogy and not this book. And this is why the advice is to have your first book in a trilogy kind of stand alone, which this one effing doesn't. Oh, there was no. I'm so mad because the end was actually kind of cool with some of this stuff, but it goes back to all the concepts of this book ultimately being pretty cool. All the stuff in it was interesting.
Right. Side tangent with talking about the first book in a series needing to be its own complete set.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you at some point to read my book and tell me how to do that because I haven't figured that out yet.
Oh,
anyway, moving on. Side tangent.
Same with my pirate story. In my head, I'm like, it totally stands alone, right?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Jane says, I found the yoga part so weird. It was weird. Like, they're just like chilling, hanging out with a bunch of other creatures, like floating in the air doing yoga. I'm like, okay.
I wish that that's all the romance had been, was just like the yoga and whatever. It just kind of goes back to like they were clearly already into each other then.
Oh, yeah.
We could have just stopped it there.
Like, I don't hate the romance a lot in the sense that I can be okay with it because she is like 30. So like in our age bracket, we know what we can deal with, what we can't, what we're looking for. Hopefully if we haven't been traumatized, which I mean, her parents died as a child, but I don't feel like she's ever been traumatized. So I think she has like a good grasp on her reality. And so I feel like she was never coached to love a man like that. It was all her choice. She chose to love a dickhead. So
right.
I guess I can get behind that aspect of it, but why would you want to?
Yeah, it didn't bother me as much as Twilight did, genuinely because of the age. I was just like, whatever. But on the age thing, I got more and more confused as the book progressed, because either I stopped envisioning the characters, I guess she had growth, but like a regression kind of growth, because by the end of the book, or halfway through, I just kept imagining a teenager. Like, they keep having to go and stay with the parents different places, and then it's like, we don't want to kiss in front of the parents as much, and we're trying to be kind of sneaky about things, but like not really. And then so it just, in my head, she was back down to like almost a teen. It was almost like Twilight again, where I was like, are you the 30-something like PhD person, or are you not? Because you don't seem like it right now.
You know, there's so much that I want to love, especially like the magic, the history. But Diana is like the world's biggest Mary Sue character ever.
She's so overpowered. What the heck?
She has every single solitary power that has ever existed. Every single one. Like, most people have a power. I do like the world building, the magic system, how you can have a power and you can have witchcraft. Like, they're two separate entities, which that's how my book's written as well. Like, it's two separate things, because witchcraft in itself is more of like apothecary, kitchen witch type things. If you're pagan, you know what I mean. But the power is a different thing. So I like the aspect that they have both things, but she literally has every power ever known to man.
All of them.
Every single one. And hilariously, while I was reading this book, there was a video that I watched. I don't know when it came out. but it was recommended to me on YouTube, which is weird. I think YouTube is inside my brain. But it was about different kinds of twins. It was the SciShow that the Green brothers have. And they were talking about like the different types of twins that exist. And they did the chimera twins, which is what Diana is apparently, is a chimera. And they said like there's only been 3 cases in the history of the world that have been known to happen. And so Diana naturally has that because she's special. So like I can understand her having more than one power, because if she is in fact a chimeric twin, which for those of you who don't know what a chimeric twin is, because why would you? It basically means that you had a twin in the womb and then at some point you absorbed them. And so you have their DNA in your system as well as theirs. So you were like not identical twins, but fraternal twins, and then you absorbed their DNA. So you would have their DNA and yours. They do play that a lot in books and movies, TV shows. It's a big thing in that. It doesn't really happen that much in real life.
Yeah.
But so I can accept her having like 2 powers, 3 powers, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Less than 10.
Yeah.
I could accept. But literally everything, including things that haven't been seen for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
No, I can't accept that.
Yeah.
I do not accept.
Yes. I refuse. I'm mad that the time walking we only got to at the end, which feels like a really big plot point, but it's like it feels like we waited on all the time walking and it's explained by her aunts at the end, where it's like, yeah, you've been doing it for forever. Also, your dad did it, and we haven't heard anything about this. So it's like the world building's really good, but it's like when it's layered, it's a very clear, like, oh, you layered it in 50 pages before it's going to be important. It's what it felt like, rather than just being like all the time. I will say that there were characters that I really loved. And also I see Vicky saying Aunt Sarah's house.
Amazing.
Super cool.
The house was the best part of the whole book.
Easily. Yeah, my favorite. I loved the house. I actually really loved Marcus. Marcus was cool.
Yeah.
Miriam was kind of cool too. I'm trying to think who else I liked. Oh, Marth. Marth was great. So all the M names.
Marth, though, questionable. She was giving her contraceptives without her knowing, which I agree with.
A shitty thing to do. I still liked the character.
But also, my question is like, why is there some random old vampire housekeeper?
Yeah, not explained
at all. Like, it's not like she's part of the family. They don't like give her a name in the family. Like, she's not brother, sister, aunt, cousin, whatever.
Not a declare love.
Random old lady vampire who lives in our house. And by the way, she loves to cook, and you're human, so she's going to feed you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I just. Ooh, but it's so sad because there were so many good things. I will say, I took it upon myself to read a giant synopsis of both the second and third book after I finished the first book, because there was no way I was sitting through that slog again. And I don't love the plot of the second 2 books either. So
that's disappointing, because I was kind of hoping.
Oh. So if anyone's read all 3 of them, I don't want to talk about how it ends, because some of you are in the middle of like the second and third book. So I don't want to spoil that. But I didn't love it.
Should we also say, and again, I said in the blog, but like Goodreads isn't always the best indicator of something, especially when it's gotten to a level of popularity that I think this book and the series has, that like a TV spun off of it. But it had like so many reviews, and a 4-star rating with that many reviews is shocking.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly lots of people loved it.
This is my question, though.
Yeah.
Is part of that time frame, because the book came out in 2011.
Ooh. Okay.
Had I read this book in 2011, I would have loved it.
Interesting.
I mean, I was 24 in 2011.
Yeah.
And so I mean, the first Twilight movie came out in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I looked that up last night. It's the only reason why I know that.
Yeah.
Because I never read the Twilight books. I watched the movies. So
Oh.
I got introduced to those in 2008, and I enjoyed the story then. I didn't hate it. I was 21. So, I mean, I liked the story. So I probably would have enjoyed what felt like a
more
grown-up Twilight. But now, as a nearly 33-year-old woman, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Can I confess that so Twilight got to be really big when I was in high school, and I was very excited because now people I like kind of knew were reading too, which is now it's like so cool because we have BookTube and like lots of people read, but at the time it did not feel that way. So I was like, yes, I'm going to read it. And I actually read up through, I don't know at what point I started skipping large sections of Twilight because it felt kind of similar to this book. Like the last book, I think I skipped over 100 pages. I would skim through it and see if she was still on random bits of history that didn't matter to anything, and she was, so I just skipped them. So I don't know, this is probably just not my style. No matter the time frame, just not for me.
Well, and last night, because we were discussing Twilight and growing up Twilight, last night I was watching, oh my god, channel name, come to me. Is Maddie's channel name The Book Pusher? I don't know. I have to look it up. Anyway, I was watching a live stream on someone else's channel last night, and we were discussing like Twilight and how even people that are in my age bracket that don't love Twilight can appreciate the fact that Twilight is a large reason why the book market is the way it is now.
Oh my God.
Without that reading craze, there wouldn't have been so many teens and young adults that were enjoying reading and then continuing to put money into it, trying to find another read. Like books, the genre of books that I typically read that aren't like adult literature, but like the fantasy and the YA weren't as big of a deal then as they are now.
Yeah.
So
that's Twilight and the Hunger Games, huge. And then, you know, you have Maze Runner stuff and Divergent a little bit later and all sorts of things. But have you noticed, I know people talk about it, but like the YA industry is just going way down again. So it's interesting. I don't know if it got oversaturated or what happened.
People are upset with the YA genre in general because you don't know if you're actually getting a mid-grade book or an adult book when you're reading a mid-grade, because it's usually one of the two.
Oh, that's a great point. Yes. Yeah, we're missing out on this like 9th, 10th grade, even 11th grade sort of level, I feel like.
Yeah, Christy asked why was this book chosen. After I think it was December's Authortube chat. I don't know dates, guys. But we did a community vote and voted for the book, which I guess since we're talking about voting, we should go ahead and mention that and I don't know if we announced the next book or not the last time because we went ahead and decided at the same time. So the most votes was definitely A Discovery of Witches overall. But on my specific poll that I posted, the only thing that got votes was the book that we picked. So they were so close that we were like, we'll just do one and then do the other. So the read that we will be reading for March and April is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So here you go.
What, that was published like kind of recently, right?
Sure. 2017.
Okay, so at least we might not have the problem of like expectations within, you know, genre and storytelling being different. Like it's recent enough.
I also voted for this one, and I'm the one that owns. I voted for this one. I own this copy. It is my copy. I've had it forever. I added this on Goodreads in 2012 and have not read it up until now. And I am so disappointed in myself, but you know, okay. Becca wants to know what The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is about. Basically, the short version of this is that this book is about a woman who was like a 20s movie star. I don't know what era she was in. I don't know. She was a reclusive Hollywood movie icon, Evelyn Hugo. And she had a glamorous and scandalous life, and she was very secretive about it. But at some point at the end of her career, she decides to have what's the word I'm looking for? A reporter tell her story. Reporter was the word that was leaving me. And so she chooses a specific girl to come and hear her story, and she talks about her story and all of the people that she's loved. I know that it is a queer romance in some aspects of it. And a lot of people liked it. It was a Book of the Month Club pick. And so here it is. Yes, Emily, it is a Liz Taylor-esque character. It was the 50s. I figured that out. Not the 20s. Do you guys need to go outside? Is that the issue?
I literally just put Duke outside. I don't know if he could hear your dogs or the dogs out here, but he's like, I'm ready.
Well, I'm going to let the small children out.
Yeah.
To entertain the masses.
I will attempt.
I will mute if I can figure out how.
Well, also, now that Jessica's gone, let me know what y'all have read recently besides A Discovery of Witches, if you guys read it with us. I already said that I've started Mistborn. I've also started Kitchen Confidential, which was one of Anthony Bourdain's books, so nonfiction, and it's good so far. I'm excited. Let's see. I'll switch over to Vicky wants to know, when will the chat be for April? What a great question. We don't schedule that far in advance, so I don't know yet.
But it will be in April.
There you go. We got a whole 30 days to pick from.
Is April 30 days?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was singing the song in my head.
I don't think I know the song. I know the knuckle thing where you start over here and the no. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
30,
it's 31.
30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except for February, which is a fucking dickhead and puts in 28. That's a fun 29. The end of it is ad-libbed for sure.
I like it. Look at all these book recommendations.
Book recommendations. Did you ask for book recommendations?
I asked people what they were reading.
Who is just giving us book recommendations?
Wow.
Wow, the English language has.
Okay, I feel better. Other people know the knuckle thing, Jessica.
Listen, we don't learn that in Ohio, okay? I'm reading Truly Devious. I'm rereading a semi-definitive list of worst nightmares. I'm reading Ghosts of the Shadow Market. I think that's it right now.
I really want to read a semi-definitive list of worst nightmares one that you keep posting about. It sounds great.
This was my favorite book of 2018. I read it twice in 2018. I'm reading it again. I'm loving it again.
Look at all those tabs.
It is tabbed. It's a tabbed baby. It's a weird one. I ain't gonna lie. I love it. It's like the best book ever. And most people hate it, so I mean that shows you my reading taste.
Interesting.
Let's see, what's everybody else reading? Reading Witcher, Us Against Them.
I love Great Prize comic books. It skipped, but she was saying I have to read something fast to get over the 70 slow pages of Discovery of Witches. I'm going to cleanse the palate too.
Grape, the last thing I finished was The Discovery of Witches, and the I'm reading rereads because I can't do it.
You can't muster up
I can't muster up the courage to read something that I'm not sure if I'm going to like or not. But I have to finish Truly Devious by tomorrow at 4 because I'm leading the group discussion for that in my book club. And then Monday night is the book club for Just Mercy, which is a nonfiction, which I need to read before the book discussion on Monday. And then Wednesday is our group discussion for The Dry by Jane Harper, but I have read that one, so I'm okay on that one.
Which one's your in-person book club?
All three of those. Truly Devious, The Dry, and Just Mercy are all three in person.
And did you already lead one of the in-person ones, or is this the first one?
Yeah, I'm doing the one tomorrow.
Okay. Yay, I can't wait to hear how it goes.
I'm so glad that I read last month's book and went to last month's book club so I could see how it went to know what I was expecting. Because had I just walked in, I probably would have had like a panic attack and pieced the fuck out.
Yeah.
Also, today was like, I finally sat down and watched some daggone booktube videos and got caught up on like all of the online book clubs that I do. And so I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I added 6 books to next month's TBR that are just book club books.
That's crazy.
They did announce the in-person book club that I do, the YA book club. The person that I co-facilitate with, she picked next month's book, and she picked what's it called? Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds.
I have wanted to read that for so long.
I think that one's in verse, isn't it?
I think it has a little bit of it, yeah. I don't know that the whole thing. I could be wrong though.
I'm not sure either, but I'm really excited to read that. Nothing that are book club books next month are books that I already own, so yay. Hopefully I can find most of them.
Hold on, I'm gonna let Duke back in. I will be back. Your turn to entertain.
Please let Duke back in. Grape Saga is amazing, but I haven't read book 9 yet, volume 9 yet, because they're on a break, and I know that it has like a really rough ending, and I'm not prepared to live however long I have to live between volumes 9 and 10. So just be aware of that. Like if you want to skip reading volume 9 until volume 10's out, highly recommend. Someone's reading Where to Go. Jacqueline is rereading City of Bones. Haven't read it in over 10 years. So it's definitely interesting to pick up as an adult. You will get no shame from Shadowhunters books when I'm around because I fucking love those books way more than any human should. So, just saying. Natalie wants to know who's doing Camp Nano in April.
Yes.
Probably me. I don't want to, but probably me. Are you standing at your standing desk?
I am.
How do you do like a 2-hour chat just standing at your standing desk, weirdo?
Fuzzy socks and just alternating. So I don't know if you've seen me be like, I've been sitting all day though, so this is nice.
There's some campers in here.
Of course.
I mean, it is an Authortube chat video. It does make sense.
Yes.
I don't know why I didn't even think about you standing up. Now I feel bad. I'm like, would you sit down already?
Why? No. This is why I chose this space. I wanted to stand.
TV, that is the joy of camp. You can do it for editing. I am still 100% positive that I'm going to be revising, so.
I'm going to be revising something too. So, team revision.
I have been productive this month, but just like in reading.
Yeah.
I've read like 10 books, 11. I don't know.
Dang, Jessica.
I don't know. It's a lot. Oh, I can tell you.
Look at that planner. Look at that organization.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. And like, I'm 60% done with this one. And 10% into the, no, 20% into this. This will be read by the end of the day tomorrow. So.
You can do it.
But like, what am I going to read next month other than book club books? Man.
That might be it. You might be just, this is all you're allowed.
I need to do less book clubs. I guess some of them are like 2-month book clubs, so I can read other things.
I should do my own research, but Jessica, do you know of any like readathons happening next month? I rely on you for a lot of my BookTube information.
March. I'm sure there are like 1,000, but I don't know of any off the top of my head.
I'll have to actually search.
There's probably like some leprechaunathon. Just read books about leprechauns.
It'd be amazing. Yeah. There should be more books about leprechauns.
There's plenty of books about leprechauns. They're just going to be in a different category than you are looking for.
That is super true.
That involve people that are naked.
Things. Yeah.
If you like watching ridiculous vlogs about things that are that involve people that are naked and very weird, you should definitely check out Julie at Pages and Pens. She's been doing Kindle Unlimited vlogs.
Oh,
Bird, chill out. That's my bird. Like, it's not an alarm. It's not a timer. It's my freaking bird.
I mean, it's adorable.
Anyway, Julie does these Kindle Unlimited vlogs where she does different kinds of reading, but like today she posted, or not today, the other day she posted an alien smut vlog. She's also done Christmas themed, just random things. So
I think I have a few of hers in my watch later. I still am just super behind on YouTube stuff. I got too many videos in my watch later still.
Everyone's like, I thought there was a truck backing up. I thought that was a car alarm. No, it's my bird. She's laughing. FYI. Like, I'm right next to the wall. And her cage is directly on the other side of the wall. And she's a dick. So.
Like you're live right now?
She's she's like 18 or 19, so she's a teenager, and that makes sense. Anyway, Emily, I should not host a readathon because I fail at them every time I do one.
But if you hosted it, you could choose.
Oh. If I could find a good, like I've done many ones, like I did a readathon for Susan Dennard's books in the lead up to the third book coming out. I did a readathon of those.
I do remember.
So I've done smaller ones, but I haven't done like just like a week-long readathon. More of like group books than, I don't know.
Weekend readathon.
Weekend readathon. If I could come up with like a cool gimmick,
a good theme,
then I would do it. But I have no. Well, I tried to do. Let's see. Last year before, I did a month-long Authortube book readathon. No one did it. It was just me. So, bye, Aphrodite.
Bye.
Oh. The bird is not that funny. Like, she's the devil, FYI. She likes to wait until I'm home alone at 3 in the morning,
Oh, no.
and she'll start talking in like a really low man's voice and make me think there's someone in the house.
Ooh.
And then once I start looking around, she starts laughing, and I'm like, bird. Yeah.
Wow.
She likes to laugh in like a really deep, throaty man's chuckle. Yeah.
What's the bird's name?
Sophie.
Sophie.
Her name is Sophie. So she's like 18 or 19. I was like 14, I think, when we got her.
Yeah.
She's old. She gonna be living for a long time, because they live to be like 80.
Really? No.
Mom has said for years that like the only thing she's gonna pass down to us is an apple tree and the bird.
The bird.
I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want the bird. I might have to go yell at my dogs. I think they're chasing the horses.
Oh.
I'm listening to see where their barking is coming from.
Yeah. We got birds, we got horses, we got dogs.
Too much.
Cats.
Cats. I don't know where the cat's at.
Marilyn.
She's probably sleeping somewhere. The other cat's locked outside because he likes to pee on everything in the house, and he's probably going to be moving outside once it warms up. And he's not going to like it.
No.
Anyway, moving on. Any books anybody would like to talk about? Any writing anybody's talking about? That's not accurate English language. Any writing that you're doing that you want to talk about? Anything? Anybody want to make this conversation move forward?
Off of birds. I feel like all of my work at this point is just revision work, and I knew that this year was going to be the year of like no new stories, but it's not as fun. Because it's so much easier to write a news story where it's like none of the problems have happened yet. But so yeah, I'm in that revision life, living that right now. It's great.
I did the HB90 planner course for Q1. And it was kind of an experiment because I don't know how quickly I can actually work through things.
Yeah.
I am so far behind the plan that I set up, like incredibly behind. But the good thing is that whatever I don't get done this quarter, it's fine. I could just start over next quarter, which I love, not like waiting until the end of the year and then being like, crap, I've wasted a whole year not getting done what I wanted to get done.
Yeah.
But I am working through my high fantasy, and it's going decent.
I'm so excited. It seems from all the updates that it's going better than it has ever, potentially. Yeah, so yeah. I'm pumped.
I have like a world set up in my brain. I figured out the magic system 10 years later.
So important.
I mean, when I started it, the magic system was just open. Like, it was magic exists. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I've had to focus in on that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Magic systems are so tough. I don't know that it'll be many, many years down the line that I decide to come up with like anything involving that level of fantasy.
It's not fun. It is fun, but it's not fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm reading comments, so.
I did see Casey asked, what are some writing lessons you might have learned from reading A Discovery of Witches?
Well, don't write an adventure and a slice of life and put them in the same book.
Yeah, or learn how to merge them better, but I think that would take away the slice of life stuff. Yeah, that and just the pacing. It also taught me more, or it reinforced what I don't like in books. So that's good. I think it's important to write the stories that you yourself would want to read, even if it's not to other people's taste. So I genuinely think Deborah Harkness probably loved,
Yeah.
that book. And like that's the style. I bet if you looked at like what her favorite reads are, I bet they're all pretty similar to that. And so, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I still think there was a pacing problem though. All that being said, there was still a pacing problem in this book.
Well,
But
and I will say that, like, as far as the book goes, I thought there was something in here in the acknowledgments. Maybe I'm drunk. I don't know. I don't see any acknowledgments. Maybe I read them online. Whatever. My point is that Deborah Harkness is like a highly intelligent woman. She is very much, it was kind of like a self-insertion novel, in my opinion.
yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's someone says she's a historian, and you can tell in the second one. And that's the thing, is like, I think that's what makes learning the history and the world building and reading like all of the history, it makes it so interesting, because she is a historian. And as someone who studied art history, like, I love that aspect of it. It is one of my favorite things. I love learning about history. And so I don't think the book is terrible. And I don't think that there isn't merit to what she wrote. And I think that she, again, is a highly intelligent woman, and that she wrote the book she wanted to write.
Yes.
And I think that's what everyone should do. That doesn't mean everybody's going to love it. It just means that you wrote the book that was for you, and every book will have its audience. And she obviously has a good audience, because it's rated 4 stars on Goodreads. And so, I mean, there is merit behind that.
Yes. Yeah. I do still think some extra editing.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with everything you said.
The other thing, there was, back on topic of this book, there was no stakes. Like, everything was just like, all of the action was like so glossed over. I never felt like anybody was in danger, except for the people that Matthew was killing off the page.
Yeah, that's why the pacing was a problem, because we did have stakes at the beginning of the book, and then we wrapped them up. And then when she tried to introduce stakes again, it was like, as our main character was kidnapped. And then it's like, but that's actually not how lingering stakes really work. Like, you doing this, it didn't ever feel, no, it was off. I wish it wasn't.
That I write the best notes to myself while I'm writing about books. It says, and now they kiss, so they're married, and now she's kidnapped. What the flying fuck?
Yep.
Yeah. So. And she was kidnapped for 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't last long at all.
They did all of this horrible damage to her body, and she probably should have died. And it was like the entire precipice of the book, everything changing, her magic coming alive, finding out more about her history, and seeing her mother and her father, and them showing, a lot of what they had hid from her and what she needed to do in order to become the thing that she needed to become, because it was fated. FYI, their relationship being fated doesn't make it any better. Doesn't make me believe it any more than anything else. But all of this happened in a span of like 3 pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just read 300 pages of nothing.
Yeah.
And you get to the part that's interesting, and you spent 3 pages on it.
And then it's over. Yep.
And it's over. And I never worried about her. I didn't think that maybe she was going to die. I didn't, it was just.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just random tangent.
No. That was a writing lesson learned, I think, with the stakes. I mean, you got to keep some stakes. I do think that there's something to be said for solving things as you go along in order to like keep the reader enticed, and to like feel like you've grown a little bit as you go up. But you got to keep introducing new stakes then, like, and you can't have lulls like that. Yeah, no, it's a lesson.
Illumi Arts says, have you read a book called The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova?
I think
I don't know.
own it, but I have not read it.
Which has reminded me of that book because the authors are both historians and they sort of drag on in the same way.
Yeah.
And part of that could be because history books are very dry. I mean, historical books that are written are pretty dry and they do drag on. And so maybe they wrote in what they're used to reading.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I read through my own book this most recent time. And there's like a giant massacre scene because it's a high fantasy with a lot of death and murder and destruction.
Of course.
How I roll. But the whole thing happened off page, and all you ever see is the aftermath. And when I was going through the book and going through plot points that should hit, I was like, oh, that needs to be on page. Cool. Now I have to figure out how to get my characters there on the other side of the continent.
Oh.
So that I can make that on page.
Yep.
That's where I'm currently stopped. Because I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Will someone else come do it for me? I need a ghostwriter who can just like take what's in my brain and put it on a page and make it pretty.
Just magic. That's the kind of magic we need.
That is the exact kind of magic that I would like to have, actually.
Yes.
If you could have any magical power, what would it be? That's mine. What's yours?
Yeah. No, you're stealing the good one. I'm trying to think. Because some of those powers sounded interesting. Bring you back to the book. Because I was thinking about how time walking would be cool, except I would actually never want to do that. Like, I don't trust myself to go forward or backward in history and not F something up.
How did they know that they could walk through time, but only if they had 3 items from that time period plus something that time? Who figured this out?
I also don't entirely get, and it might have been explained, but I don't entirely get if she'd been time walking since she was a kid because she wanted like the birthday cake or whatever. What was the object that she had from there? And how is it? Is it only needed if you're going so far back? I don't remember. I feel like I missed something.
I kind of correlated it to her being a kid. And in most stories that involve magic, children are able to do things that adults can't do because they don't know the rules.
Yeah.
So, like, even, for example, in Harry Potter, Harry was able to blow up Aunt Marge without a wand because he was a child.
Yeah.
In Halloween Town, Sophie gets cookies off of the plate because she just wants cookies. So I think children are kind of the outliers of magical rules. Maybe.
Oh, I see Taylor saying the objects could have been because she hadn't been there before physically, so it tied to the place better.
I don't know.
That could have been. I don't remember.
I don't.
My head's full of all these small details that the book kept trying to slip in, and yet I think I clearly missed something.
Grape asks, what was the deal with her walking with her eyes closed? Was that relevant to the time walking? I don't think it was relevant to the time walking. I think it was a completely different power that she magically had.
Yeah.
One of the 4,000.
I think it was going along with the one where she closes her eyes and she like problem solves. It's of that same thing, I think, where it's just like, this is a power.
It wasn't. Everyone doesn't have a magical whiteboard in their brain where they can figure out all their problems by sliding things around. If we had that, Diana, we'd all have our shit together.
I'm mad because I actually kind of liked the idea that she'd actually been using magic all this time. Like the first 20 pages, 30 pages are like, I refuse magic. It's all alchemy. I'm studying the history. I'm doing this. And then we're like, oh, just kidding. You've been using magic this whole time. I actually kind of liked that bit. And then it's like, the rest of the magic throughout was, everyone told her, someone else mentioned that, everyone told her what her powers were. She didn't just magically discover them. Anyway.
Well, and that's the thing. Taylor says that, to quote her, she said it wasn't magic. Like, she says it wasn't magic, but everyone is telling her that all this stuff that she did
Has been magic.
for all of these years that she's been suppressing her magic has been magic.
Yeah.
And my question is, she was roughly our age in 2011, which means she was born in the early 80s, which means actually late 70s, early 80s. How did her mom know enough about DNA and DNA sequencing to know that she would need to hide flush all of her hair and toenail clippings and all of these things so that no one could test her DNA and find out how special she was?
So to be fair, I feel like they do say something about how, like, witches have been doing this for centuries. Like, witches have always known the importance of blah, 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 and how I kind of got it, but there were several instances like that where it's like, in order to explain something else that happened in the book, they're like, we'll just throw a quick line in. Dismiss it, dismiss it. So.
I mean, I know hair and nails have always been a thing for witches because, I mean, it's something that you can use to gain power over a person. But, like, I struggle with the thought process that she was okay with hiding. She wanted her daughter to hide these things so people couldn't find out how powerful she was. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. Alchemy, right, Christy? Alchemy is actually one of the cooler parts of this book. A, because alchemy is cool. B, because originally, bringing this back to me because that's what's important, originally in my high fantasy, my main character's name was Alchemy, but it confused the hell out of people because they thought that it was a process, not a person. So I have a soft spot in my heart for that name. You could be right, Taylor. It could just be something old school that happened to be correct. It's one of those things where it's like, did witches really use hair and nails in people's to get powers over other? I don't know, but I don't know because I wasn't alive then, so I have no answers. No, I did not spell it differently, Christina. It was just normal alchemy. Yeah, you can use DNA related things in voodoo and hoodoo and I can't get the other word out right now. But again, yes, if you are a bruja. I mean, it is the thing, but I just don't, I don't know. Okay, that is interesting to know that someone's parent actually told them that versus just it being in a book. I don't know. It's something that my brain did not compute, but I guess that makes it less of a plot hole in my brain. Kate has returned.
Sorry, Duke's being a weirdo.
All right, Christina, I will accept that. You both have changed my mind on that aspect. And that's why you have group discussions. Because some people's life experiences give them different things than others. But, you know, is Duke still being a weirdo?
He is. I don't know what's up with him. Just kind of eyeing him. He was sitting down pretty good for a bit, and then.
Does he still struggle with you standing?
I think he actually likes it because he tries to lay as physically close to me as possible now. Like sometimes I'm actually touching him with my foot. So it's better than when I'm in the chair and he can't touch me.
Okay. Weird.
Indeed.
Duke wants to read. What book do you think would be Duke's favorite book if he could read?
This is a good question. He's kind of an old man at this stage. I think he might like the typical mystery novel and maybe an action-y that he can't do as much action now, so he'd want to live vicariously through the books. That's my guess.
I think Flash's favorite book would be the Percy Jackson series.
No.
Because he's very high-strung and ADD for sure for a dog. And
no.
He would have to listen to the audiobooks because he's a dog and he can't read, but also he wouldn't be able to sit still long enough to read because he's such a giant goofball. But I feel like Ruby, which is my old lady, I think she would read things that classy old ladies who have high tea would read and be snooty and drink her pinky out.
While she's reading.
It's a good answer, Becca.
I think so too. He is almost the size of one. So it could totally happen.
Whereas cats would be reading things like How to Murder Your Human in Their Sleep.
Yeah. Some nonfiction. They're going to conquer the world.
People talk about cats and them knocking stuff off of shelves and how assholery they are.
Uh-huh.
Literally this week, Fitz has broken both of their food bowls. I keep them on the shelf back there so that they're high enough up that the dogs can't get them. And they were empty. The bowl was I had just got home, so I hadn't fed them yet since returning home from work. They had food in the morning, had not filled the bowl up. And he literally looks at me, walk in the door, stares at me, puts his paw out and shoves the bowl off the shelf, and it shattered into a million pieces. And the next day he did the same thing with the other bowl. I'm like, are you kidding me?
He's witness me.
Now they have one bowl and he has to wait to eat because I make sure that Merlin gets to eat first because it's not her fault the bowl's broken.
No, consequences.
Hi, Phoebe.
Hi, baby. I love that. My Labrador would love the hungry caterpillar.
Emily. Norman would be a Stephen King fan. You're not wrong.
Yep.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my brain hurts.
Same. And you got so many books to read still.
So many books I still need to read.
Do you want to go outside? Who knows?
Who knows? Just give it a go.
Yeah, why not?
So who is planning on reading the next book with us, the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, or who has already read it? And if you haven't read it yet, have you heard of it? Do you think it's interesting? Are you going to read it with us?
Will you join us?
Will you join us? Because, we want you to.
We do. Or for those of you who are interested in this book, but we're not interested in the Discovery Witches, let us know why.
And I don't know. I think next time we'll take books off of your shelf.
Okay.
And do what's the thing called? A poll.
A poll.
From your shelves. Because the last one was from my shelves. So
that works. Sounds good to me. Also, Becca Snake would read Hunger Games and he'd volunteer as tribute.
And he'd probably win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Emily, the chat for the next book will be in April.
Yeah. so we can chat books and Camp NaNoWriMo at the same time.
At the same time. Because this month we didn't come with a backup plan. We should do that next time.
We should. Yeah, we'll have a backup topic. To be fair, we basically talked about this book or books in general for an hour, which is about what we could usually do anyways. We just have a first topic.
We just normally have a first topic, so...
Yeah. See, now that I'm thinking of Snake winning the Hunger Games, I'm thinking where I would land. I don't think I'd be the first one to die, but I think I'd be like pretty early on.
I think if I was chosen to go into the Hunger Games, I would probably find a way to kill myself during the...
I feel like I'm out.
During the trials. Well, or not the trials, but the training. The training
showcase or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Because they do like training and stuff. So I would want to like try to die during that, because you could be viciously murdered during the games, and I know I'm not winning. So I would want to like put myself out of my misery. It's definitely not a book that I would say is something that is really in my radar or something that I would typically read. But a lot of people discussed it on BookTube. It was very popular on BookTube for a while, which is why I own it. And I need to stop playing with things that make noise. And so that's why I was like, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is one of those where it lives up to the hype.
Lila's Pineapple says it's a pretty quick read, which is all I need to know.
Really? Yeah, after A Discovery of Witches, which to me felt like a very long read, I'm excited for a quick one.
There's a lot of taking themselves out people in this chat. I like you guys.
Yeah, great. I would unalive myself.
Exactly. Littlest Pineapple read it in 5 hours.
That is what I want.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I want a book that I can read in 24 hours, like what my initial plan was.
Well, like I said earlier, like I'm like. Yeah. I'm reading this guy and I'm 20% in, but I only listened for about 45 minutes. So
it's a lot faster. Yeah.
Well, and I'm listening to it on 3 times speed because I've read it before.
Yes.
So I'm just taking notes and hitting plot points and things I want to talk about during the discussion.
Okay. I was about to ask, what are your like note-taking methods, your tabbing methods?
I don't really have a full method. I just make it up as I go. I actually have been writing in this one, which is something that I've never done before. I've never annotated.
Mm-hmm.
But I am annotating this. I'm just underlining things that I think are interesting. I'm not doing any color coding, color coordination, crazy. I tried that once before, and I just...
Too much.
It was too much.
I was going to say, if reading becomes stressful, I'm not as into it.
I mean, literally, I use blue page flags and blue ink because the book is blue.
I think that's a great decision.
And when I read the second book, it's red, so I'll use red. And when I read the third book, it's green, so I'll use green.
Yes.
That's as coordinated as I'm getting.
Yes.
So, if you haven't read this, FYI, Truly Devious, Maureen Johnson, check it out. It's really good. It's a YA murder mystery novel. It's good. And if you haven't read this, Semi-Definitive List of Worst Nightmares for Crystal Sutherland, highly recommend. It's a YA paranormal-esque book about a family that has they all have like one great fear that will kill them. And I think I have a full review for this book on my channel. I probably do.
Remember. Mm-hmm.
And some people think that it like highlights what's the word I'm looking for? That it uses mental illness as a crutch to like make it work for them. But I think it discusses the difference between mental illnesses and what people consider like quirks, because the family thinks they've been cursed, but really they all just have like a long history of mental illness in their family. So
interesting.
It's a very good book. It has a Grim Reaper in it. I think he's real. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he's real. That's kind of the point, is that you don't know.
Oh my God. See, I'm more sold on it now. I like that when it's like ambiguous and it's up to you to sort of decide.
Like there are things that happen that are paranormal, but because of the way that the story is told, you don't know.
I'm not sure which one.
The voice in this is really great. Just it's really funny, especially I think the last chapter I read this time around, so like they're facing her great fears, all of her fears, trying to battle her fears, and she's afraid of geese. So they go to the park in town, and like she dresses as a different character every day of her life, because she feels like if she's dressed like someone other than herself, then people aren't judging her, they're judging the character that she's as.
Yeah.
So she's dressed as a stormtrooper going to fight geese because the outfit is plastic. And the guy that she's going with, he's got like oven mitts like duct taped on his hands. And they're going into fight with these geese, and they're being mauled. It is the most hilarious thing ever. So it's really funny, but it also will make you cry.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books of all time.
It sounds great.
But I don't know anyone else who's read it. Like I literally know no one else that's read it. They're Chelsea at Chelsea Elling Reads tried it and didn't make it past like 10%. She DNF'd it. So
wide variety. Okay.
That's the only person that I know that's even tried to read it.
I'm trying to see right now if my library has it.
They also it got picked up for a TV series recently, I believe.
Ooh.
Her other book, Our Chemical Hearts, got picked up for a movie that actually has Lily Reinhardt in it, playing the main character in that. I don't know what platform it's going to be on, if it's going to be on like cable or streaming service. I don't remember. But there is a movie for that one, and then this one I believe got picked up as a TV show.
So. Ooh, that's very cool. Also, my library does have it on ebooks. So, Jessica, it might take me 6 months, but I'm going to get to this book.
Read it.
I will. It's on the list, the short list.
And it's okay if you hate it. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm not that person. I'm not like, you hated that book that I love. I fucking hate you. I hope you die. Like,
yeah.
Different things work for different people.
So. Different tastes, man.
But I love it. It's my favorite. Just drinking out of this random Ohio Health cup.
Yes.
That's from the hospital. I have about 3,000 of these in my house.
It's huge.
From where Melissa was in the hospital, and like every time she was there,
they were like, take.
Well, I mean, they bring you water in your room in this cup, and if you leave it there, they just throw it away. So
yeah, you're like, I'm gonna take it.
So we have like 1,000 of them.
Yeah. Make sure you get all your water. I finished both my water and my cappuccino, so I gotta fill this up. But
I had Dr. Pepper and sweet tea, so no water today, kids.
Girl, get your water in.
I usually do, but
not during this chat.
Not during this chat. Whoa, where are you going, chat? Speaking of chat. All right. Anything else? What are we talking about?
Hydrating yourself. That's what TB Kane says. I don't know. I think we're ready for next month's chat. Jessica did come up with a topic, but we'll just maybe surprise y'all with what it is.
Unless you really want to know. Like if you ask politely, we might tell you. Ooh, Cassie says, what are your goals for next month?
Gosh, we have a week left of this month, and I'm behind on this month's goals. So I haven't thought all the way ahead till March. The only thing I know I'm going to do is I'm going to reread my Camp NaNoWriMo project in March so that I can get research and like be prepared during March. Yes.
No, you cannot have preparch.
You know what? Last year, and I can't remember, I'll see if I can find who gave it to me, but March into Camp NaNoWriMo. So that's better than
March into camp.
Yeah. So yeah, reread.
I am hoping to have all of my changes that I need to make on paper, and that way during April I can sit down with both versions and type up a new version. That's the goal, but
who knows?
What else?
That's how I do all my goals. Who knows?
The kids are asking very nicely. Let me see if I can find the wordage.
Yes.
It's not important that I tell you the exact wordage, but I want to look it up anyway.
I think it's important. I also forgot, other than I was excited about it.
She's like, I need you to tell them because I don't know what it is either.
Exactly. Yes.
So next month's chat, which will be on Kate's channel, the next two will be on Kate's channel.
Yes.
FYI.
Yes.
Kate's channel. So next month's will be the best character you never read. So essentially what it is Kate and I are going to be talking about characters that we have written that were either killed off very early in the book, so you never get like a full grasp of their character, even though we as the author know a ridiculous amount of backstory of, or characters that we have had to write out of stories. So a character that we loved that was like an integral part of the story, but then the story was like, actually, I'm going to go in this direction. And so you didn't need that character anymore. And they live in the shallow depths of hell. Yes. That's what we're going to talk about next month.
Character hell. Yes.
I'm excited.
I am too. Jessica's a genius.
You know, sometimes I have ideas and I can title things unlike other people that we know. I'm still waiting for you to just like pick out 2 random names and name every male, female character of every book you write, those 2 names, until you decide what the new name's going to be. It just needs to be like Kimmy and Tristan forever.
It's got to be Tristan. Yeah.
Has to be Tristan for sure.
Yeah.
And then I shouldn't pick on Tristan because he'll probably drown me in my sleep because he can do that because he's a weirdo creature. Yeah. And so just like pick those 2 people, Kimmy and Tristan, they're your main romance every time you write a book. And then like when you get halfway through and you're like, I need to actually give these guys a character, and then you can have a real character name.
Yeah.
Angie says Jack and Jill, which is also acceptable.
Also a good option. You know, I just really love my all caps name. So just name said blah, blah, blah.
Male character.
Yeah.
To be fair, I do that even after I've named a character. Like especially if I'm handwriting and I don't remember their name, it's like that one guy who lives in the stables. Yep. I'm also well known for, even once I know the stable master's name, because one of my books does have a stable master. So even though I know his name, I don't know his name right now, but even though I know it, I still write SM because it's quicker.
Yeah.
Stable master and
I agree with that. Yeah. There's find and replace. You're going to retype it anyways. You don't need to waste the time. It's fine.
Becca says Kate is the best titler. She titled both my series on my channel. She can title other people's things.
Other people's, but not anything to do with me. So like all of these things with Jess, I also can't do because I'm involved somehow. So that's where the line is.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you probably have. I think Authortube chat was you.
Yeah, it might have been, but that's exactly why it ended up being Authortube chat and not anything more specific. Actually, I guess that's very specific. That is what it is. It's an Authortube chat.
It is. There's Authortubers in there chatting.
Yeah.
Could be self-sabotage. Oh, my brain hurt. Someone just walked into Target and found a discovery of witches. Not for $14.50.
Oh.
Whew. That's I don't know how much I paid for this, but I can tell you from this little red dot on the bottom of it that you may or may not be able to see.
On sale.
But I got it on sale. So
Yeah.
now whether it was like a regular sale from a store or I got it on Book Outlet, I don't know. But I can tell you from the red dot on the bottom of it that it was
Awesome.
Because that's how I live my life. Bookworm banter. See? Where were you at?
Yeah, already better.
Way better.
But now we're committed. We can't change it now.
I have what we should come up for you is something that I have, which is a master list of names. So like I spent a really long time looking for names for characters, and sometimes I like a name but it doesn't work for the character that I'm doing, so I just have a master list of like male names and female names, and so I can just like go to that.
I've genuinely been debating buying like a baby book for it, because I know you can do it online, but there's something where when I see it online, I actually get more specific. I'm like, that's not going to work, but something about just turning, flipping, and being like, that one. I have been using Scrivener's like random name generator, and that does help. And I just set it to give me like 5 names at once, and then I can pick at random. There's like I only have to do that once, and I got a name, so it works. Or you can do what I did for Project Purple, where I named her, thought about changing the name, and just decided that by the time I got to the end and was revising, she was forever a Jenny. There was no time to change it then.
Right, Jenny was just Jenny by the end. It didn't matter.
It really, yeah, wasn't what I wanted, but it was, it's what the story needed.
I typically, especially when I was naming people in the high fantasy, because it has a lot of Greek and Roman mythology and lore and some Irish lore, and it's elves, people, it's elves. I bought books that are, well, ebooks. I bought some ebooks that were like baby names for Ireland or whatever. And rather than flipping through the book and going, that one, I would type in words that would remind me of the character, whether like a descriptor, and then because it's on an ebook, you can find like all the names that have that descriptor in them and then go through those. And
I like that. That's actually a pretty good system, especially because I'm so inclined to put a descriptor as the placeholder name anyways.
Yeah. So like if you're looking for someone that's like, I don't know, blessed by God, you could put like blessed in there. Hashtag blessed.
Yeah.
And it'll come up with people that's a title. I don't know, but it's a bit. So that's what I did when I was naming a lot of the characters in my high fantasy. That's why they all have weird names that I can't pronounce. Mary says she needs to read more mythology. The only mythology that I really read anymore is Rick Riordan. So FYI, it is Rick Riordan, not Rick Riordan.
I listened to an interview and I thought, I only listened to one, but I thought he introduced himself as Rick Riordan. And I was like, okay.
One of my friends went to like a it wasn't a book signing, but it was like a thing where he was talking. And he introduced himself as Riordan.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to go find that interview again.
But I'm never gonna say it that way.
Yeah. You're like, this is how it is.
It's been 20 years, it's ingrained in my brain now. It's not happening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this and it's gonna sound real bad, but if it was like a person of color or an ethnic type name, I would try harder to pronounce it properly. But he's a middle-aged white guy. He doesn't give a fuck if I say his name wrong.
There's also lots of names I've heard where one person pronounces it one way and someone else in the family, like a different cousins or something, pronounces it a different way. And it's like, for sure. However you pronounce your name, I guess, is the right way to do it. But also like,
well, I mean, there's talk about like Ariana Grande and like how her dad pronounced it Grande.
Oh yeah.
So like even her grandpa pronounced it a different way.
Yeah.
Than what she does. So, I mean, so Riordan. I don't think he cares. Typically, if I talk about him in a video, I refer to him as Uncle Rick.
Uncle Rick. I like that.
That's what people call him. They call him Uncle Rick. And I feel like at this point in my life of reading his novels, I feel like I know him. I feel like he's my uncle. I'm just saying.
Uncle Rick. Yeah.
I feel like he's Uncle Rick, and he tells me these great tales.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I wouldn't know how to pronounce that, Emily, so fair enough. It could be Galea, it could be Galia, it could be Galia. It could be Galia, you know, like Linda with a G. Rick and Morty, when I hear Uncle Rick. I've never seen Rick and Morty, so
it
doesn't infect my brain.
Rick can stay Uncle Rick.
I love that, like, he's just a squishy cinnamon roll of a human being.
Yes.
And I love him.
Yes, I have been so enjoying following his journey about maybe getting another movie or TV deal for the series. So
trying really hard.
And it's fun to watch.
My thing is, like, he will not even reference the original Percy Jackson movies. Like, he won't talk about them. He like, literally, when he talks about it, he'll be like, those one movies that shall remain nameless, or that one thing that happened that one time. And I'm like, the sad thing is, if not for those movies, I never would have started reading his books, because I love the movies. But once I read the books, I was like, wow.
This is way better.
This is way better.
Yeah.
But it's very similar with, like, Mortal Instruments. I watched the movie before I read the books. With Vampire Academy, I watched the movie before I read the books. And I feel like even when those movies suck horribly, they still will bring in an audience. I mean, I literally own every middle grade book that Rick Riordan has purchased or has written. I've purchased them all. Yes.
Yes.
So, like, had those horrible movies not been made, I would not have read the books. And so, I mean, he's made a couple $100 off of me.
There you go. Look, I still appreciate, because you're one of the few people I know, I watched Vampire Academy first. Then I've gone back and read the first 3 books. But I still love that movie. It's not really anything totally like the other 3 books, but I still love that movie. So it worked. Yeah, to your point, it worked.
Can we talk about the absolute injustice that was the Beautiful Creatures movie? I mean, you're not wrong. But again, I watched the movie and then read the book. And I liked the movie until I read the book. And then I was like, what garbage was that? Yeah. That's the thing is, like, I've probably never rewatched the Beautiful Creatures movie. And I probably never will. I probably own it.
I don't think I've ever seen it. And I haven't read the books either, so.
But, like, I just watched last weekend in a realm of panic. It was 2:00 in the morning and I couldn't sleep. And I was like, I really want to watch the Mortal Instruments movie. And although I own it, I couldn't watch it in bed because I don't have a DVD player in there. So instead, I paid $15 for it to download it on Vudu so I could watch it while laying in bed.
Now you're going to have it forever in all of its forms, though. So
it's a great life choice.
Yes.
And so I watched that movie a lot. I have probably seen Vampire Academy more times than any other person on the planet. I could almost bet you I have watched more hours of Vampire Academy than the people that had to edit the movie. I've watched it a lot. I know all the words. Like, I've watched that movie a lot. But I'll probably never watch Beautiful Creatures again. And I watch the Percy Jackson movies sometimes, but I have to be, like, in a specific mood. I've probably watched Vampire Academy more than I've watched all of the Harry Potter movies put together. And that's a lot. A lot.
So much.
Especially when it's one movie compared to 8.
Yes. So it's extra impressive.
Cassie says the Discovery Witches show, I think, makes up for the lack of plot and did a really good job. Becca, wherever Becca's at, has watched the first episode of the show, but hasn't read the book. She didn't like the show.
It's so funny because I had some other people in the comments of the vlog I posted saying that they did like the show, but then other people were like, no, it has the same. So it's just like the book itself.
I watched the preview the other night for the TV show.
Yeah.
And I was like, this looks like it follows the book pretty closely. I'm out.
So you're like, so pass. I saw you and Becca Matthew, and I thought it was so funny because I loved that actor in what's the one he did a movie with Amy Adams where she goes to Ireland to propose to her.
Oh, Leap Year.
Yes, I love that movie, and I love him in it so much.
My thing is, like,
great.
He looks so old. Which, I mean, granted, Matthew's 1,500 years old. So fair. But also, they kind of insinuate that he was changed to a vampire, like in his 30s, late 20s, early 30s. Yeah. And that guy looks a lot older than that. So and also they discuss like how he's like this big hulking creature, and you can tell that he's a vampire because he's so much bigger than everybody else. And this is like this guy that's as big around as my pinky and like 5'10" and old, and it just doesn't work for me. It's not that I don't find him an attractive human being, but
just he doesn't match the character,
right?
Yeah.
I think it was 38.
I think it was that old because I think she was supposed to be like 34 in the book. That's why I was so confused when she, like, as the plot went on, she seemed to get younger and younger in my mind.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think he was supposed to be like, yeah, I think so too.
Okay, I'm crazy.
No, I mean, it's vaguely adult-ish, like, no matter what, an adult.
No, I felt like they were explaining him younger. But, I mean, obviously, it's totally fine if I'm wrong. That's just the way that my brain's seen him. Which, I mean, sometimes my brain sees people way different than what they are. Bye, Emily.
Bye. Yeah, I realized I don't remember who I was listening to on BookTube or something, but I basically pay attention to how someone describes the character and then just do whatever I want in my own brain. Like, so I could have my vision of a character can be completely different than what the author actually intended. Even when they gave me legitimate descriptors, I'm just gonna be like, well, this is
it. Cassie says it's because he acts like a teenage boy. You're not wrong. I mean, they both act like teenagers.
Great Fry. You know what? That whole thing with his sister, I wasn't totally sure, other than she did terrible things. That's what I remember being like, oh, okay. She was the worst. Got it.
Yeah, my thing too is like, I don't know, if you've read the second book, does she show up in the second book when they're in the past? Because I feel like there was no need to mention her at all.
I edited out of my vlog where I was trying to make predictions, because what happened is that we were introduced to so many characters that didn't matter at all after their little scene was done. So I kept being like, oh, they're totally going to come back and do this, and nothing with it ever happened. And I just got tired of making predictions. Like, I didn't need to learn 2 pages about some of these people for them to never come up again.
No one showed up. Nothing happened. Which is pretty much how I feel about it. I read the synopsis of the second and the third book, but I can't remember what all happens. Like, I know there are other people that show up that you never seen on the page alive in the first book that show up in the second book. But
did you Wikipedia it?
I literally typed in like the name of the book and synopsis, and I think it was like a fan page wiki.
Okay, I'm gonna do that too. Also, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. I think I need to go soon. Cutting our chat a little bit shorter.
That's totally fine. It's not like we're talking about anything anyway.
Talking about the book, we've circled back.
Which we usually do circle back to topic at some point.
We do.
Yeah, they do talk about his father a lot in the second book because you do get him as he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
So
the time walking, something was going to happen there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not going to read the second book. I own the third book. I'm going to unhaul it. So
are we going to get an unhaul video?
It's the only book I'm unhauling, so no.
I think that's enough.
I don't unhaul a book that I haven't genuinely given a shot to.
Mm-hmm.
I am not that person who just goes through their shelves and is like, this doesn't sound interesting anymore. This doesn't sound interesting anymore. I don't just get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I put my money into it and it was interesting at some point, so I should at least try it.
If I had more space, that's how I'd feel too. But I am fresh out of that.
Well, a good way to do that would be like try a chapter tags or try a chapter videos where you try a chapter of things and you can find out if you vibe with the story or the way things that we're writing. And
I might, yeah, I'll do that.
That's it's a good way to figure out what works for you. But yeah, I won't get rid of something that I haven't at least tried. What like this, I know that I haven't started that book, but I know I didn't like the first one, so I'm good.
Yeah.
So, anybody have any final comments, questions, concerns? Don't forget, we're reading this book for April.
Yay!
March, we'll be discussing characters that no longer exist that we love. And as always, dates will be found on our YouTubes, on our Instagrams, because we don't plan ahead. We just, at some point, go, hey, it's almost the end of the month. What day do you want to get together to do this?
Panic. Decide. Yes.
Panic. We were glad to have you guys for our book club. It's the goal was to get Kate to read a book, and she did. So
yeah, it worked out great.
We're great. She read a whole book in 2 months. It was great.
I will read at least 6 books this year because of this, and I'm reading extra. So this is exactly what I wanted.
Oh, start making Emily read our books too, so she's reading as well.
I know. Yes.
Anything else you would like to say, ma'am?
No, other than we will see y'all next time.
I have to get out of the thing so I can exit out of the thing. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Yay.
Check out the next book. Hope you enjoyed this book or learned something from it.
Yes.
That's also acceptable. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend and you read something good very soon. And until next month, we will talk to you later. Bye.